Hello, Vibers. It's your boy Kai. Welcome to another episode of the. I'm gonna do that one again. I already messed up. I'm one sentence in. One sentence in. Already messed it up. This is gonna be that's
Love
always
it.
a great
It's
sign.
gonna be a good one.
And you know
It's
what?
gonna be a
I'm
good
not even
one.
gonna edit this part out. This is staying in. I need people to see how much of a hot mess I am from beginning to
Can
end.
this be the can this be the bonus for
No,
your
this is the actual intro. This is it's gonna happen. People need to know. People need to
people
know
need to
that
know?
I'm a hot mess. All right, we're gonna try that one again. Here we go.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, close your eyes, erase that from your memory, and let's try it again. Here we go. Hey, Vibers, it's your boy Kai. Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that hits very close to home for me. I know it hits close to home for a lot of you as well. Time management, especially as it relates to mental health. Joining us is the incredibly insightful returning guest, Angela Nauss, my friend. Angela specializes in PTSD and runs a private practice in Colorado, which I'm representing today via HAT. She brings a unique perspective, blending her knowledge in clinical psychology with real world experience. Angela, it's a pleasure to have you back with me on this podcast, ready to share your wisdom with our community of introverts, ADHDers, and all those looking to make mental health conversations more accessible. Angela, welcome back. Hi. Did you see how I nailed that intro
Hi,
without
Kai.
having to go back and do it again? I did it right the first time, right?
Oh my God.
I would also like to begin this podcast by saying to all of the people of Connecticut that this is a safe area. It was Connecticut, right?
Yeah, it's
This
Connecticut.
is this is the safe zone. I know last time you might have had some thoughts. It's okay. This is a safe zone. We will not mention the town of Connecticut at all. I promise.
The town? Not even the
Yes,
city. Couldn't even
the town,
insult
the
it like a
village,
city. It's a
the
town.
village of
The
Connecticut. We're not going to
village.
do that. Angela, welcome back. Hi, how are you? How you been?
Oh man, I'm so excited to talk about time management.
Me too. Me too. And we started this on time, so that means that I'm good at time management sometimes.
Sometimes,
Sometimes
yes.
I struggle though because time blindness for me from an ADHD perspective is something that I struggle with immensely. I've gotten better at it ever since I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I was able to learn ways to manage it. But I mean, just in general, as a human being that's an adult, time management is not it's not the easiest thing. So I kind of want to start there. So can you share some of the challenges that adults might experience sometimes when it comes to time management?
Yes. And I know I want to get your perspective on this too, because I know
Yeah.
you train people. But one of the biggest things that I hear,
Hmm.
like in my work, is people will be like, I get so discouraged
Mm.
about my time management. Like, I don't do my chores, I can't meet deadlines, and I'm late to
Hmm.
things. And so I'm just mean to myself about it. And it becomes
Yes.
this like self-perpetuating cycle.
100%. 100%. I get down so much because so one of the tough parts obviously with ADHD is being able to push the start button sometimes, right? So like getting that initial jolt of energy to get things going is really difficult for people with ADHD. So not only will I get down from a time management perspective, but I'll get down because I will have started later than I wanted to on whatever task it may be. And I am also diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So like all of that kind of just starts to blend in together. And I get so upset with myself at the end of the day because I'll sit there in bed and I'll be like, I was supposed to do this. I didn't do it because of this, this, and this. My time management sucks. I could have done it, but I didn't. So it's definitely something that I have struggled with, and I know other people struggle with too.
That's probably my first tip for the day for
Hmm.
people. Something I like to do in my clinical work is I usually start with just looking at some of the maladaptive thoughts people have. So, mean things you think about yourself on a daily basis. So, it might be like, man, I couldn't get started on that project. I
Mm-hmm.
hate myself. I'm a loser, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to really break it down into the advantages and disadvantages because no one would believe something that mean about themselves unless there was some kind of advantage to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I find for a lot of people, it kind of falls into one or two categories. One of them is like, if I don't get my hopes up, I'll never get disappointed. So like if
Mm,
I just like dunk on myself constantly for being late, then when I am late, I'm not surprised.
mm-hmm.
And the other category is like, if I'm mean to myself, it will help me do better. So like if I sit on my bed and I don't do the task and then I'm mean to myself about it, it will motivate me to do the task. Does that make
Yeah,
sense how there are
it does.
advantages? Like
It does. Yeah, and I think I actually started to realize that in college because I used to always turn in my papers later because I felt that if I had too much time to work on a paper or a project, I felt like my grade on that paper or project wasn't as good as if I just justified it. And it was like it's not there's nothing scientifically that proves that. I don't think. I don't know. There might be. But like I 100% sometimes would find ways to justify my my lack thereof when it comes to or lack of talent when it comes to time management for sure.
well, I mean, and we could break that down. Like for you, do
Hmm.
you feel like you related to one of those advantages?
I felt like I did, but like it's weird because I just found ways to justify it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was the right thing to do. I justified it as a way to protect my brain because I would be like, Kai, you were supposed to do this 2 weeks ago. You're doing it now. And like there's no reason why you couldn't have done it 2 weeks ago. But then when the time comes, I kind of try to protect my brain. And I'm like, well, you could have done it 2 weeks ago, but you're doing it now. And you're probably going to get a better grade now because of it. And like that's the way I would justify it. And that's not necessarily healthy because I would have this added stress that in the long run wasn't healthy for me.
Right. And I think for the listeners at home, doing this advantages, disadvantages exercise, like do it after you watch this, like listen to this
Hmm.
podcast or watch it. And I want you to really list out how many disadvantages there are. Most
Hmm.
often, when I do this exercise with people, there's like one advantage and like 499 disadvantages.
Right.
You feel
Yes.
mad at yourself. You don't spend as much time on the paper as you want to. Like you
Yeah.
could have learned something, but you didn't give yourself the chance because there was no time, you know? And I think people
Mhm.
continue to have these thoughts until either the advantages are no longer existent, like there's no longer a reason to quote unquote protect your brain, or
Mhm.
until the disadvantages really outweigh the advantages.
Right.
Thus, writing
Right.
it down and looking at it that can help you.
Hmm. Is that something that you have or still do struggle with at times too as an adult?
Dude, constantly, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought, but it's funny. What if there's one thing I've learned since I started my mental health journey, since going to therapy and stuff? I used to think that like they're like kind of like when we were younger and we used to think like our parents and our teachers like had it all figured out and like
Oh my
they're all
God,
perfect, they have
yes.
all the answers. I used to think that therapists and counselors and coaches and all they have it all figured out. They have every answer. But one of the things that I really appreciate about the therapists and counselors and coaches and people such as yourself that I've spoken with, the human side of it that I love that I'm able to be like, oh, she's human too. She struggles with this too. And this is how she handles it. This is how he handles it. This is how, you know, it's just it's really validating and it's very comforting to know that. And which is why I always love asking like those type of questions to people like you, because it's like, yeah, I'm human too. I struggle with this too.
Oh yeah, and I think the more we talk about it, like the more okay it makes it seem for people. Like,
Mm.
no, that like I have nobody's like 100% on this.
Right, right. What happens if it goes unmanaged, if it goes untreated? So like let's just say, people struggle with their time management, they're beating themselves up. What happens when that's not addressed in the long term?
I mean, I think we've all had this happen to us in our lives where it's
Yeah.
like, and then everything becomes unmanageable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
which
know,
is
I
yeah.
I I tell people like I found that for, especially for folks who are unemployed or like between
Mm-hmm.
opportunities right now, like the more
Mm-hmm.
time you have to manage, the harder it is to manage. Like
Mm-hmm.
imagine you have 1 free hour a day. Okay. It's only 1 hour to manage. Imagine you have 24, 7 days a week, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Somebody says, "Do
right.
you want to hang out next Monday?" It's like, man, there's like hundreds of hours in between.
Yes.
How am I gonna like
Yeah.
remember
Yeah, yeah,
that?
absolutely. Do you feel as though and I think I alluded to this before as well. For those of us that struggle with ADHD, anxiety, depression, the having difficulties managing our time, how much does that affect those other diagnoses that we have?
I think probably hugely, right? We know
Mhm.
that like those kinds of difficult thoughts, like I
Mhm.
need to protect my brain or I can't do it or there's something wrong with me, only make symptoms worse. They make you
Mhm.
feel worse about yourself. And then, you know, cognitive triad kind of situation, those thoughts lead to
Yeah.
emotions, and you feel sad, and that affects behaviors. You do less
Right.
positive things in your life. And then next thing you know, the wheels are off the wagons.
Yeah.
Oh boy, how did we
Right.
get here?
Right, right,
I'm
exactly.
exaggerating.
No, no, but it's like that feeling though. It's like a snowball effect sometimes, and it just kind of like seems to like take over. And so like, and that's why I wanted to like before we started getting into like some of the like specific like tips and advice and stuff like that, I wanted to make sure that people understood you know why it's important to be able to focus on this type of thing, because in the long term it can affect other parts of your life more
Yeah.
so than what you may realize. And um it can be very overwhelming sometimes to to manage time, because I think a lot of like parents that have to juggle a lot of things, whether it be their marriage and a job and kids and trying to find their own joy and stuff like that, trying to balance all of these things, some of which they have no control over, and it can feel overwhelming to try to balance all of that. Do you hear a lot of that from adults like us about the struggle of trying to balance all of that into something that's like not crazy and overwhelming?
Oh my God, all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and tell me if you figure it out.
Yeah, right. It's scary. It's scary, but and the reason I ask that is because I think in times like that, it's easy for us to think like, you know, it's just me. Maybe I'm the hot mess. Maybe I'm doing things wrong, but like this is something that's more common than what people may realize. And I want people to walk away from this understanding that. Like if you're at home right now and you're just feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling like there's so much going on, you're like, there's no freaking way that I can juggle all of this and manage my time and manage my kids and my love life, my whatever it may be. You're not alone. You're really not. Like this is a common struggle that people deal with. So I guess my question to you now: how do we fix this? How do we go about approaching
Right.
this? We established why this is important and how it affects us. What are some things that
Yes.
we can actually do about it?
I know. And to your point, I think it's amazing that at least like in America, in the schools I went to, you don't get taught this. There's no
Mm,
class in time management. They're
yes, that's
like,
true.
you're gonna grow up and like get a job and you're gonna have to figure that out, how that
Mm-hmm.
works.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually start with like extreme basics.
Mm-hmm.
So like we can talk about more complex, but I think the most
Yeah.
basic one is like once a day, just make a list. Now, I don't
Mm-hmm.
like assuming people know what I mean by things when I just say make a list. So let me
Mm-hmm.
tell you exactly what I mean. This list is going to be divided into 3 categories, and it's going to be like extremely urgent things that have to happen today, and then like medium, and then like not priority. You can call it
Mm-hmm.
small, medium, large if you want. You can call
Mm-hmm.
it, urgent, less urgent, just 3 categories. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And by prioritizing the things on this list, what you're really doing is you're planning out your day. So you know the
Mm,
urgent things have to happen. maybe the medium category does not need to happen today. And then the
Mm-hmm.
not urgent category doesn't need to happen today at all. Because what I find for most people is that if they're given a list of like 10 chores that they have to do, for example, they'll do all of the easy ones first. Because if you have 10 things on a list and you can do 5 of them, then after you do half of it, you only have 5 left to do. It's like so much easier. Like just
Right.
get the numbers down, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what ends up happening is like, then you have no more time. It's like, man, I
Right,
spent all day
right.
today doing the 5 easiest things on the list. So don't do that. Make a
Yeah.
priority list.
Right, right. And it's seems easier said than done, right? But it's like, but it's I don't think it is. I feel like one of the things I love to tell my team, and I'm glad you said this because it's good to hear it from another person. I spend the first 10-15 minutes of my day at work because I have a lot of tasks that I have to do at work and I have a lot of people to manage. I invest the time to do things like that, to make that list, to make a list
Yeah.
like that, because having some sort of structure going into my day, like whether I end up checking all those boxes or not, still having some sort of structure or idea of what I want to do really helps. It really, really helps a lot. And with consistency, and like in regards to like doing that every day, it becomes a little bit easier. I found it took time, but it became easier.
I mean, it's like so underrated. Like, don't just
Hmm.
go into work and start checking emails. Like, stop.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and like because that's the easy thing to do, right? To just come in and just be like, all right, here we go. Let's see what my okay, all right, let's just start working on things.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
like
yeah.
like find a way to like like you don't have to let other things structure your day. You can decide what a successful day is for you. When I'm having my team meetings in the morning, I don't ask them, "Hey, what's on your docket today?" I ask them, "What would make your day be successful today? What would make you walk out of these doors saying, "Okay,
Yeah.
this is like what's the bare minimum that you could do to be like this was a successful productive day today?" And like we start there and then grow. I kind of try to start there.
Oh my God. And we're not talking about the elephant in the room, which, like, I know you and I have discussed this before, but we should
Uh-huh.
just like let our listeners know this is where it's going. You have to do the hard thing first.
Mm-hmm. Which is,
Whatever the hardest thing is on your list,
yeah,
like
eat
it's
the
going to
frog,
come
baby.
down. Eat the frog, eat the
Eat the
frog,
frog.
eat the frog,
Eat the
eat
frog.
the frog.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I
should
and I
we should
love
we
that.
re-explain eat the frog, or should we just like let people think we're actually telling
I
them to
know
eat
they're like,
frogs?
but like legit. I mean, in a way, it's like if you eat the frog, if you think of it literally, if you eat the frog, everything you taste after that, it's gonna taste a little bit better. It's gonna taste a little bit better, so you can think of it literally because like that's where the phrase comes from. Like you, as Angela is suggesting, do that hard task first. The thing that you've been avoiding or putting off, or something like, you know what, nah, I'll get to that later because that's going to take up a lot of my
Yeah.
time and energy. No, get it out the way right now. Start it now because every task that you do after that, everything that you do after that, oh man, it's going to feel so much better. You're going to feel a lot more accomplished. You really are. We're on the same page.
Literally.
Hmm.
No, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
And you talk with people because I'm super into like thoughts, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
tell me the actual thought that's
Yeah.
stopping you from, metaphorically eating the frog.
Hmm.
And it's usually some kind of like really like deep-seated
Hmm.
cognitive schema thing where they're like, I can't do it, or I'm afraid of it, or like
Yeah.
it's gonna make me feel stupid about myself. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, say the quiet part out loud. Okay, hear how
Hmm.
ridiculous you sound. Like
Hmm.
you can do this.
Hmm. Hmm. How do it's I guess it's easy to say I'm gonna tackle that hard thing first, but how do we go about doing is it a discipline thing? Is it just one of those things like you just gotta hunker down and just swallow your pride and just go for it? Like is it one of those things where you just gotta be disciplined, like self-disciplined to kind of start tackling that task? Is that what it takes?
Maybe I know for
Mm-hmm.
like neurodivergent people, there are some sneaky tricks you can do. Like one
Mm-hmm.
sneaky trick is give yourself a prize. So like if I do this, I will get some kind of treat that I wouldn't get
Mm-hmm.
otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Or another sneaky trick for neurodivergent people is like, do it in a place that's not your house. Like, go to a coffee shop so you have to work
Mm.
on your computer, like you're forced,
Yeah.
or like a library or something.
Yeah.
Leave your
Yeah.
home to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm lucky enough that like I work from home 1 day a week, and I'm in the office the rest. But I actually enjoy uh, working among my team because it does in a way it's kind of like a weird body doubling type of thing that I know that I like to do sometimes when it comes to just being productive. Like as an introvert, sometimes it's easy. It's a little bit easy for us to. Uh, I guess I don't want to say procrastinate, but like it's easier for us to justify not doing things sometimes because we're like, I'm just gonna take my solace, and not that's a bad thing, but like having somebody else there or being around people where it's like you oddly get this energy and this motivation to really knock your day out and hold yourself accountable there.
Oh yeah, that's another trick too. You could
Mm-hmm.
have an accountability buddy and tell
Mm-hmm.
them you need to do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although, of
Is that
course,
what you
I'm
do?
no, I'm actually less of a fan of that one because it tends to
Yeah.
reinforce thoughts that you can't do it by
Mm.
yourself or you're not good enough.
True. That's a good point. That's a good point. So what do you do? Like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm gonna start my day and today is gonna be a productive day. How do you structure your day?
I'm definitely the kind of person that will just like, I have a lot of big feelings. So, like, when I eat the frog, I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
Angela, you're going to get a minute or 2 minutes to
Hmm.
completely complain about this. Like, you're just going to be, I hate this. I don't want to do it. I don't want to
Yeah.
do the chore. Oh my God. Like the other day, what was it? Oh, I had to clean the bathroom. And I was like, I hate cleaning the
Yeah.
bathroom. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh, it's so bad. And then, I get it out and I'm like, all right, okay, I'll do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Hmm.
How
Right.
about you? What's your secret?
When I wake up in the morning, I like you, I do allow myself because I feel like those feelings are valid, right? I don't want people to sit here and be like,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to think that my day is shitty today. Like, no, like those your feelings are valid. It's okay to feel that way. But what I like, it's fine. You're a human being. Like, you don't have to like force yourself, right? Like, it's okay. You're a human. It's a feeling that you can feel.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but my thing is like, okay. I'm going to allow myself to feel that way. But now what can I do about it? What can I
Yes.
do to mend that or to set myself up for success? So I'll complain. Like I'll wake up in the morning, I'll be like, oh my God, here we go. Blah, 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 right. Um but then I know because I've been doing it for such a long time and it becomes easier with time for me at least that like I know that I'll complain, but the minute that I start actually working on whatever the task is or going to do whatever it is that I need to do, like once I get going, I'm going. Like I'm good. Like I'll be fine. It's like going to the gym, right? The tough part for a lot of people, it's not the actual gym part. It's the process of getting to the gym. It's the process of if you do it in the morning, it's the process of waking up early and getting yourself to the gym. Or if you're going after work, the process of like going after
Yeah.
work and like you like that part is what holds me back. But when I get to the gym, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like I'm there. I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I try to view my projects that way too. Like I'm gonna complain. I'm like, oh man, I have to do this big project. But then once I start, all right, let's do it. Let's go.
I find that some people can trick themselves with goal
Hmm.
directed activity. So,
Hmm.
like, if you break a project up into small enough pieces,
Yes.
you can do like the small little pieces. And then before you
Hmm.
know it, you've tricked yourself into, like, in my
Hmm.
bathroom cleaning
Hmm.
experience, once you get all the cleaning supplies out, now they're here.
Hmm.
I'll do
No,
it.
but that's like I think that's important because I'm glad because that was going to be one of the things I asked you about too because in regards to like breaking things up
Yeah.
into smaller tasks if it's a bigger project because like like for me like even today my goal today is well one of my goals this week I should say is to clean my house, right? I just want to clean it from top to bottom. Now initially I'd have been like I'm going to clean my house one day, I'm going to just knock it out, everything's going to get done. But then I was like, no, wait, no, I don't need to do it all in one day. Today I'm going to focus on the kitchen, tomorrow I'm going to focus on the bathrooms, the day after that I'm going to focus on the living room. So by this time next week I have invested just an hour of my time each day to just like one of the rooms in my house. And as time goes on, like as the week goes on, like I'm not investing like a full day into it. I can still do other things. I can manage other things and stuff like that. So I break it down into smaller tasks. Is that something that you recommend that people do as well?
Absolutely. And you're getting to the heart of like that perfectionist thing, which
Mm,
is where it's like, if I can't clean the whole house in one day, I guess I might as well not clean my house,
mm-hmm.
is the logic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the way you break that down is by, again, saying the quiet part out loud, being like,
Mm-hmm.
how does this benefit me? And there
Mm-hmm.
are benefits. And the most obvious one is if you think you're a failure if you don't clean your house in a day, and then you fail, you don't have to clean your house. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it's
it's
true.
very sneaky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, how do you think people should deal with the failure side of it? Because I know that sometimes we will have these goals and maybe we will break things down. Let's just say today I want to get to clean up my kitchen first. Let's just say for whatever reason I don't get to that or I don't finish that. That aspect of quote failure, how do we manage that part of it?
I tell people it's important how you talk to yourself. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
stop the thoughts, but you can control how you respond to them. So the
Mm,
thought of like, oh, I can't clean my house in a day, you might say, and that's okay. I
mm-hmm.
like and statements. That's where when you say
Mm,
something mean to yourself, you just say and then something
mm-hmm.
nice about it, like, and I'll do a little bit of cleaning tomorrow.
Right.
So
Right. Right. Can you talk about setting realistic goals? Because I know like a lot of us have like ambitious goals that we're trying to set, when it comes to accomplishing tasks and managing our time and like that. How do we know that we're setting a realistic goal for managing time and energy?
oh my God. So I want your feedback on this as a
Yeah.
manager. It's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the one where people are like, my realistic goal
Mm-hmm.
is like to be the best? Like it's vague, but
Right.
it's always like, I'm
Yeah.
just the best. Best
Yes.
is goal.
Yes.
You see that
Mm-hmm.
one?
Yes. Uh-huh. All the time. All the time. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough because like I'm somebody that holds myself to a high standard, right? When in everything that I do. So I had to teach myself what exactly is something realistic for me to do. And I have my ways of going about it for sure. You want me to share? Is that what you're yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
can yeah, oh
now you have to
absolutely.
share. Now it's,
Oh,
yeah, now
absolutely.
it's your turn.
Yeah. So I break my tasks, kind of like what you were talking about before about like the A, B, and C kind of thing. I do something similar. So I have my A task, my B task, my C task. My A tasks are things that I like need to get done that day, like at work. Like it has to get done or something bad will happen, right? My B tasks are things that I would really like to get done, but if I don't get it done, it's not the end of the world, right? But like it is what it is. It's fine. My C tasks are things that I would like to get done, but if it doesn't, it's whatever. Like it doesn't. I don't. If I have time, I'll get to it. It's not the end of the world. Now here's the key. My A tasks, I know personally because I know my work ethic. I know how my day is normally set up. I know how many A tasks I can assign myself. So I don't make all of my tasks A tasks. I'll say, okay, I'm going to assign myself no more than 3 to 4 A tasks because I know the way that my day is structured. I know that I can at least get to 3 or 4 of those things, and that's fine. I'm not going to load it up. So from there, I pick the 3 or 4 tasks that I are the most important to me. The rest go into either B or C. And so my realistic is those A tasks. Like I know realistically I can and should get these things done. And then I go from there.
I think to your point, realistic goals are things that you know you can accomplish. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like unrealistic goals usually require participation from someone else, if
Mm-hmm.
not downright magic. Like if
Mm-hmm.
your task requires something that's out of your control,
Right.
maybe it's not a super realistic goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there is a lot of stuff out of our control, right? But like even then, if it is something that is out of our control, that is something that we can factor into how we schedule our day or know how we approach that task. And I think like if it just takes time because I know me, I know my brain, I know my work ethic better than anybody else. So I know what realistic is to me. So like you and I if we work together, could be doing like doing similar work or working on similar tasks, but the way that we go about setting realistic goals for ourselves might be different because we're two different people, right? And
Oh
it's
yeah.
not that's not saying that my way is wrong and your way is better, like, or vice versa. It's just we're separate. So I think people just have to know themselves, and what time, like, if you don't know yourself, you have to just try different things and be willing to take that quote failure, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like failing, it has a bad connotation to it, but like, to me, I view it as a learning experience, and I'm like, okay, what can I do better tomorrow than I did today, and then just grow from there.
Literally. And that needs to be the mindset, like growth
Hmm.
mindset, like big
Hmm.
time.
Hmm. It's man, it's funny how much we like all like struggle with this though, because it is hard. Can you think of a time for, like, for you, where like you like hella struggled with like managing your time and tasks?
Oh my God, yes. In fact, so I
Hmm.
have a funny story about this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like, one of
please.
my best girlfriends in Colorado, I met her because
Hmm.
she's another therapist, and I was
Yeah.
going to refer a client to her. And I always like screen other therapists.
Hmm.
So I set up a time to call her on the phone, and I was going through like a lot in my life. It was
Hmm.
like not even like something bad had happened. I just was
Hmm.
I had a lot of things to do. Um
Hmm.
and I forgot. I just straight up
Oh,
forgot about this phone call with her. And she
yeah.
texted me back and she's like, "Hi Angela, like I gave you a call but you didn't pick up." And I'm like,
Oh.
"Yes, I didn't pick up because I was doing something else." And
Uh-huh.
like it was kind of devastating, but the
Hmm.
way I handled it was I like told her the truth. I emailed her and I was
Hmm.
like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm I was going through a lot. I lost track
Right.
of time.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm
Hmm.
so sorry. Will you please
Yeah.
still talk with me? You don't have to. And she was
Hmm.
totally cool with it. But I think
Hmm.
because I was like upfront about it, she agreed to still talk with me. And like
Right.
the rest is history. We hit it
Right.
off. We're like the same
Yeah.
person. Like
Oh,
she's like my
perfect.
bestie now. But yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, that definitely happens to me. 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
100%. Can can you talk, what's the difference between being busy and being productive?
Oh my God. Right?
Like, what is how can people differentiate the two?
Between being busy and being
Uh-huh.
productive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we could quantify this with like how many of the tasks on your list did you get done? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
if it was a task that wasn't on your list and you just invented it, like, does that count
Right,
as checking
right,
things off
right.
your to-do list? I don't
Yeah.
know. What's your metric for this?
I feel like being productive, like, not that one is like bad or anything like that, but I feel like being productive is when that task is finished, you feel as though you've moved either yourself or a project or something forward.
Yeah.
there's a improvement, or there is a growth that happens because of it. I think that you can be busy being productive, right? But I feel like, if just to say you're busy, I feel like that can be misconstrued sometimes, because you can be busy, but what you're busy with, are you being productive? Because I can be busy with something, right? But
Oh, yeah.
am I being productive with that business? Am I working on something that is productive? Like, I can be busy rearranging my comic books that's sitting on my bookshelf over there, right? But like, do I need to do that? No, I just do it just because, right? So is that me being productive or me being busy? Right? It's just me being
Maybe that's
busy. Hmm.
I think maybe that's a better way to measure it is the difference
Yeah.
between like, is there a larger strategic objective
Right.
that this
Hmm.
task is connected to? Like, because
Hmm.
you can have long-term projects and that could be
Hmm.
like a task you do for that, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
just doing something with no strategic objective. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how will this comic book thing
Mm-hmm.
benefit me at all? Probably
Right.
not.
It wouldn't. Like it really wouldn't. It would just be because like I just like, oh, you know what? These and this is also where my ADHD comes into play because I'll be hyper focused on it. I'll be like, you know what? They're in alphabetical order. I think I'm gonna put them in numerical order now.
Yes.
It's like
Oh
why?
my
I
God.
don't know.
I talk with a lot of early career people, as do you, and
Uh-huh.
they'll be like, I want to start an Instagram. And I'll be like, what is the strategic objective of this
Yes.
Instagram? Is it increase, leads to your website? Is it to convert people to
Mm-hmm.
customers? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you can't tell me, then it's not helpful.
Exactly. 100%. I have that very similar conversations with my clients because like for those of you that don't know, I'm the executive director of paid media at a marketing firm. So like we have like social media services and that we do for our clients. And like a lot of times our clients will come in guns a-blazing being like, I want, to do this on Instagram and TikTok and blah, 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 and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, hold on, pause. Let's
Yeah.
focus on one thing at a time, right? And then grow and let that one thing that's growing lead to the success of another, and like I'm like you'll find it'll be easier to manage both energy and time into it'll be easier to manage one and then grow into the other than trying to juggle all of them at the same time, especially if you're unfamiliar with it. So like that's yeah, I run into that a lot,
Oh
but we
God.
have to have that
Yeah. No,
conversation.
it's tough. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely have people who will be like, my goal for this is it's a cool, fun activity for me to
Mm-hmm.
do. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, but if there's no strategy, then are you
Right.
just wasting your time?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
because it,
Exactly.
it is possible for like cool, fun hobbies to turn into
Yeah.
stress hobbies.
Yeah. So what other tips and tricks and advice do you have for people that are listening right now that are like, okay, I hear you, Angela, I hear you, Ky. What can I do right now to improve my time management skills?
Okay, here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
This one's going to trigger some people. You have to say no sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Saying no is you can control that. You can 100% and because I'm a people pleaser, so I struggled with that sometimes because I want to make sure everybody's happy. But I reminded myself that means I have to be happy too. My happiness is and comfortability and joy is just as important as everybody else's. And that's not a selfish thing. Like you can prioritize time for yourself and you can start that by saying no. Yeah, that's tough.
It
That's
is
tough to
really
do.
hard. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, boundary setting sucks. Like the best
Mm-hmm.
thing I can say is if you're not if you're unable to say no, just say I'll think about it so that you don't commit to something right off the cuff. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's totally okay to say that, or I'll get back to you, or hey, let
I'll
me
get
let
back to
me
you.
look at what other things I have on my docket, or let me see what else I have going on. I'll get back to you. Like saying that is okay. It's really, really okay. You don't have to be afraid
Bro,
of it.
that was like five really good ones in a row. Oh my God, did you just have those ready?
Well, I try to practice that every day, and I try to I tell my team because like sometimes they'll be like, oh, people are coming up to me asking for stuff all the time, and I say, do you say yes? I'm like, well, yeah, I want to help them. You say no, and or say, hey, like you can
Yeah.
say no, and or say something like, hey, I can't get to this today. I can get to this by Thursday though. Or shoot me an email and then I will get to this at a later time when I can work it into my schedule or work it into my tasks. Like I can, like if you want the thing to get, unless it's an emergency, I tell my team all the time, if it's an emergency, then like we'll go from there. Like if it doesn't get done right now, then like somebody's either going to get hurt or, client's going to lose like a ton of money right here, right now, whatever it may be. Like that's an emergency. But if it's something like that's urgent, but like not an emergency, you can, you know, it can wait. It can be important, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to get done right here, right now. You can say
No,
no.
and I feel like I don't know if other countries are like this, but
Hmm.
Americans are just like
Hmm.
programmed to be
Yes.
like, can I help people? Oh, I should
Hmm.
be doing that.
Hmm. And we feel bad when we say no or when we can't help somebody. Like it's just like we beat ourselves up over that too. It's like oh man, this person, you feel like responsible for their success or their happiness. You feel like you're supposed to, play the most important role in that. And it's like no, they have to, they're, especially as adults, like we have to like take responsibility and take accountability and go from there. And like they'll be okay. They'll set the expectation and then go from there. People should respect whatever boundary that you set with them. That's not a bad thing.
I know. And like the power of just saying, like, I need to think about this or I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you go
Mm-hmm.
home and you do think about it and you're like, man, there's no way. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. What other tips? How else can you fix me and my time management
Fix
skills?
me. Oh my God, guys, stop it. Delegating.
Yes, yes. Can you talk a little bit about that, especially if you have the ability to do so?
Delegating is where when you do that little breakdown of like what's most important, the
Mm-hmm.
small, medium, and large tasks, you find things that you personally don't need to do. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have like in terms of housework, like there are chores my husband can
Mm-hmm.
be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of those chores I don't want to relinquish. I think I do them better than he does them.
Sure.
I'm probably right about that fact. Doesn't matter. It's like you were pointing out, it's so important to delegate because
Yes.
like you may not physically have enough time in your day to do all
Mm-hmm.
the tasks.
Absolutely. And I think what's important is when we say delegate, that doesn't necessarily just mean to a person. That can also mean delegate to another day or another time as well. Like when you might have a little bit more time or freedom or energy to work on that. You can delegate it. You can give it to something else, and that something else can be a person, it could be another day, it could be another time slot, whatever it may be. Like you can divvy that out for sure.
Oh my God, I run into that again, like the early career people, they'll be like, I want to spend a really long time on creative. And it's
Hmm.
like, you don't have a really long, you have like
Hmm.
an 8 hour workday. How are you going to fit all these tasks in there?
Right,
Like,
right, right. You're only one person,
yeah,
and like you can only do so much, and like that, like it's delegate. You can delegate. You can ask for help. You can like people sometimes, like sometimes you do need help, and you can ask people for help and see what they can do. Like that. That's okay. It's totally okay to do that. You don't have to
I know.
accomplish it
And
all
that's
by
like,
yourself.
that's the American paradox is like
Mm,
we love helping people and helping
mm-hmm,
people makes us feel so good. Like when I help someone,
mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, I feel like such a good person. But I
Yeah.
imagine asking one of my friends for help and I'm like, God, I would never.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a hard time. I have a hard time asking like for help sometimes because like I again, I sometimes I let my pride get the best of me. I'll be like, "No, I got to figure this out. I got to do it." I can't let somebody see that I'm struggling. Like that's definitely, as you mentioned, I think that's a Western society mindset sometimes. Um, Kind of like that. No, I need to figure this out on my own because it's sometimes I'll think of some of the communities in Africa that do so much together that will just work like these towns and communities that just they all have the ability to just, I don't know, just work together on every single task and like I don't know, like that kind of it just it's astounding to see how different it is than it is over here.
Is that like a thing? I want
Yeah,
to hear
so
more about this.
yeah, like because like my mom spent time in South Africa and she came back with stories and even some of my friends, it's crazy. So like my biggest audience obviously is here in the United States. My second biggest is in the UK. My third biggest is in Australia. My fourth biggest is Africa, right? And like the continent of Africa. And like it's so interesting that there's so many people that reach out to me from all the various different countries in Africa. and I get the opportunity to learn so much from them as they learn about my culture and I learn about theirs. And there's just this idea of community building and community assistance that it's not a burden. It's just like, no, we're in this together kind of thing. Like we're going to do this together. And not saying that there isn't community in the United States, but it's just like it's a different type of vibe,
Oh,
that I
completely.
found. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like when you really dig into that and you're like, if you had a friend who was going something through something, wouldn't you want
Hmm.
them to tell you? And
Mm,
it's like, absolutely. I'd want
hmm.
them to share that with me because I wouldn't think they're a burden or annoying.
Hmm.
I'd want to help them.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we tell our friends, I know you're the same way. Like we'll often say to our friends, "Hey, if you need anything, just let me know." Like we'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll do that. And I know friends say that to us too. And like sometimes we're just reluctant um to do that because we feel like we're a burden. It's like I don't want to go, talk to my friend about my problems because I don't want them to feel as though my problems are suddenly going to be theirs now. So no, I'll just deal with it on my own. And I think we just need to get out of that. I think and that's why I love talking about this stuff because I think it's important for people to feel comfortable with the people that they feel safe with and just talking, letting it out, not letting it harbor inside of themselves and finding a way to just let it out, you know, and feel comfortable doing that and safe.
Yeah. And it makes you have like closer connections with people
Mm-hmm.
too. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
actually know what you're going through, they
Mm-hmm.
like feel like they know you better. It's
Mm-hmm.
incredible how that works.
Yes, absolutely. I very much enjoy talking with you because you're always just so enlightening and you always bring a smile
Oh
to
my
my
God,
face.
Kai.
And not like legit.
Stop
And
it.
you're full you bring joy and knowledge and I don't know. Like I enjoy my time with you. It was fun. It is fun talking time management as I'm managing my time to make sure that I have time to speak with my time management buddy.
How are we doing?
Rolls off the tongue. What would you if there's anybody listening right now that is struggling with all of this, if you can give them some like final bits and pieces of advice about managing their time and their energy, what would you say to them right now?
I would
The
say the
floor the
biggest
floor
tip.
is yours.
Oh God, so much pressure, guys. So much pressure. Like literally the biggest tip isn't even like all of the little tricks we gave you. It's the don't be mean to yourself. Like
Mm,
be nice. Because
hmm.
negative motivation is extremely short term. It'll last for like a week, but as soon as you figure out that it makes you sad, you'll just stop doing it. So
Mm.
much better to just be nice to yourself.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. Amen to that. I'm so thankful that you're in my life, Angela.
Oh,
I
Kai.
can't wait. How did we connect again? Did you reach out to me or did I reach out to you? I don't remember.
Yeah, I listened to your podcast and I was like, oh my God, he's like so nice.
Oh. And then you quickly learned that I'm not. I'm a horrible person. Arr.
I was like, oh my God, it's so wholesome.
No, I'm
And
so
then
I'm so happy.
I think I found out your cats are named, they're Hamilton and Burr, right?
They are. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, that's it. We're friends now.
Yes, like we're official friends. And so much so that you sent me pictures of your cat's birthday party.
I did. I did.
That's friendship. I don't know. I don't if that's not friendship, I don't know what is. Because that's
When are you gonna
fascinating.
have when are you gonna have your cat's birthday party?
I don't know. I don't know how to throw a cat birthday party. I'm gonna have to hit you up and be like, okay, what can I do? Their birthday's in November. They'll be three, four. They'll be either three, I can't remember, 3 or 4 this upcoming November. I got
Okay,
them.
I
I got
see
them
it's
in.
February.
So we have time to figure this out.
I mean, it's tight. We only have 8 months, but we can
Yeah, I
work on
know
it.
we're pushing it, but if we manage our time, you see what I did there?
Bring
You
it
see what
back.
I did
Bring it
there?
back. I
Yep.
love
I'm
it.
gonna
I
put that
love
in
it.
my I'm gonna put it in my B task because it doesn't need to get done today. but like eventually it's gonna work its way up
Oh.
to those A tasks, you know? You see, I did
Mhm,
learn something
mhm.
today.
Look at this. Look at this.
I love it. Angela, you're amazing. I will you come back in the future and talk with me again?
Always.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today with your invaluable insight. Honestly, it's enlightening and validating to myself and everybody that's listening and watching right now. To everybody that is listening and watching right now, managing your time effectively, it's a journey, it's a process. It's not a destination, and there's no like final destination part of it. It's just like a continued journey that you're on. It's all about finding what works for you and then adapting as you go along because things change, you change, life changes, the things around you change. So as Angela mentioned, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Ask for help. Say no if you need to. And if you're interested in learning more about Angela and everything that she brings to the table, I'm going to include all of her information in the description of this podcast. So reach out and say hi. Be like, hey, I listened to the podcast and I really like what you had to say, or I want to learn more about cat birthday parties. Tell me more.
Oh, I
Whatever
would
you
love
want.
that. That'd be so
Yes.
sweet.
Yes. So yeah, reach out and all of that. Angela, thank you again for hanging out with me. Thank you everybody for watching, for listening. As always, much love, good vibes, and I will talk to you later. Bye.